Welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with all of you tonight. Be'ezrat Hashem, tonight we will be beginning a new series called Halichot Bat Yisrael. The idea behind this series, Be'ezrat Hashem, is to go through the general halachot that women have to go through on a daily basis, the things that they have to know from the moment that they wake up in the morning, Be'ezrat Hashem, all throughout their day. So there's a lot of things that I would like to talk about, Be'ezrat Hashem, and these are all things that pertain to ladies. And Be'ezrat Hashem, B'Shem Hashem Na'aseh v'Natzliach, we should all be successful, God willing, and we should, God willing, be matzliach in our learning tonight. I'll mute everyone 1 second.
Hello.
Hello. Okay. Hi. Okay, so we muted everyone. So welcome to all those who are joining us. And sorry. Okay. So why don't we begin? Sorry. There's a lot of people coming on. Okay, so why don't we begin Be'ezrat Hashem from the beginning of the day? Person wakes up in the morning. What is the first thing that a Jew does in the morning? The first thing that a Jew does in the morning is he says thank you to Hashem for restoring the Nishaman into the body. As we know, Chazal teach us, our sages teach us that when a person goes to sleep, so the Nishama ascends to the heavens. The Nishama of a person goes up to Shemaim and leaves the body. And there is an accounting for everything that the person did in that day. And then when the person wakes up, then in Shemaim, they bring back the person's body back down to his, they bring the Nishama back down to the body, and then he wakes up. And we are aware of this, and therefore we don't take it for granted. And therefore the first thing that we say when we wake up is that we thank Hashem for having restored the Nishama into our body. And the exact words are, for a woman, Moda ani lefanecha, which means I give thanks to Hashem, Melech chai v'kayam, shechazarta bi nishmati b'chemla, rabbi monatecha, which means I gratefully thank you, O living and eternal King, for you have returned my soul within me with compassion. Abundant is your faithfulness. So the first thing that a person does when he wakes up is he says Modeh ani, and according to, and the dikduk for a woman would be Moda ani lefanecha. I give thanks to you, Hashem. Now, what does it mean? First of all, let's just focus on how to say it. Moda ani lefanecha. I give thanks before you, Hashem. Melech chai v'kayam, King that exists and is forever. Shehechezarta bi nishmati, that you have given me back my neshama b'chemla, with compassion. Rabbi monatecha, abundant is your faithfulness. So what does that mean, abundant is your faithfulness? That means a couple of things. Number one, it means, and this is the pshat that I always go with the most, I think it's the most significant for me, it means that abundant is your faithfulness in me. Hashem, you have faith in me that I will do the right thing today. You're giving me back my soul in order to go ahead and to do the right thing with my body today, to do mitzvot, to be a good, faithful servant. Rabbi munatecha, you have faith in me. You have abundant faith in me that I'll do the right thing. That's one pshat. Another pshat that I saw is that you are very faithful, that it's no question that if we do what we have to do today, then we can count on you, that you're very faithful, that you will give reward to those that do what it is that you ask them to do. So it's a very important thing to say. It gives a good tone to the day. It's a day of thankfulness from the beginning. That's why we are called Yehudim. Yehudim means those who give thanks. And therefore, the first thing we start off the day is Moda ani lefanecha. I give thanks to you, Hashem, for having restored the neshama to my body. It's important to train the kids to say this every morning as well. When they wake up, the first thing that you say, Moda ani lefanecha. And you can say it even before you wash Natilat Yadayim. It's very important to start the day off with this. That's a really big blessing for the day, that you start the day the Torah way, which is a beautiful thing. Okay, so that's the number one. It's in every Siddur. If somebody has difficulty memorizing it, you can open up any Siddur. מודה אני לפניך מלך חי וקיים שהחזרת בי נשמתי בחמלה כמה רבה אמונתך. Okay, so that's the first thing that we do upon opening our eyes. Now, moving along with our day, the next thing that we have to do is to do what's called Netilat Yadayim. Netilat Yadayim means to wash the hands. Now, the idea of Netilat Yadayim is very important. As we mentioned, the soul of a person leaves his body when he goes to sleep. The Nishama ascends to Shamayim. Now, that creates a vacuum. The body right now is missing the Nishama, which means that to a certain degree, the other forces, the other spiritual forces take over the body. Now, you have to understand that the soul is not composed of one part. There's something called nefesh, there's ruach, there's neshama as well, 3 levels to the soul. The neshama ascends to Shemaim, that's the highest level. However, it's important to be aware that the nefesh, the part that's in the bloodstream, is still there. So it's not totally bereft of neshama. However, because part of the soul has departed at nighttime, when he goes to sleep, so the other forces come in and take over to a certain extent. And for that reason, those forces are negative forces, forces of impurity. When the neshama comes back in the morning, it expels those forces from the body. It gets rid of them. However, there's a little bit of leftover at the extremities of the body. And they are left over in the hands of the person. And therefore, when the person wakes up in the morning, the immediate thing that he has to do, the first job that he has after saying, Moda ani lefanecha, is that this person has to wash his hands or her hands in order to get the ruach tum'ah off of the body. So that's very important. So the first job that a person has in the morning after Moda ani lefanecha is to go ahead and to wash netilat yadayim. Now, the most important thing to do is, number 1, to get yourself to a sink, to take the cup, and to wash netilat yadayim. Now, you'll notice the netilat yadayim cups, usually they come with 2 handles. The idea is the following. When you take the netilat yadayim cup, the first thing that you want to do is you want to grab it with your right hand. And then you want to fill up the water while holding it with your right hand. While holding it with your right hand, pass it to your left hand. Okay? Then take it with your left hand and pour on your right. Put it down, and then take it with your right hand, pour on your left. Put it down, take it with your left hand, pour on your right, etc., until you get 6 washings, 3 on each hand in opposite ways, in skipping hands. So again, it's basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. The idea being that you are jumping from one to the other. What's the reason for that? The reason is that when you wash netilat yadayim, you're getting rid of that tum'ah that's on your hand, that impurity. The important thing that we have to address is that when you wash the left hand, so it jumps from the left to the right. So now you have to grab it on the right. And then when you wash the right, so it goes back to the left. You get it on the left. Then you wash it on the left, it jumps to the right. So that's why you have to do it in this way. It's not the same as when you wash for bread, which is 3 times on the right and 3 times on the left. Sorry, I have here a question. Let me just take a look at what it says. Yes, I heard somewhere you're only allowed 4 steps until Natila in the morning. Is this true? Okay, so great question. The question is it something that, is it correct that you're only allowed to walk 4 steps until you wash Netilat Yadayim? So the answer to that question is that that's what the Zohar HaKadosh says. The Zohar says that a person is not allowed to walk more than 4 amot, which is around 6 feet, without washing Netilat Yadayim in the morning. And for that reason, many people have a bowl with a washing cup inside of it, right by their bed. And as they wake up in the morning, they wash Netilat Yadayim right by the bed in order to fulfill the word of the Zohar. It is a commendable practice. It is a very important thing to do if one is able to do it. However, the strict letter of the law, the halacha, if you look in the Yalkut Yosef, you'll see that the strict letter of the law does not require it. So therefore, although it is praiseworthy and it is commendable, it is not required by the halacha that you have to do it by your bed. So that's why if you see that people are not doing that, then the reason is because of the fact that it's not mandated by the halacha, although the Zohar does say it is the right thing to do. Now, there are a couple of more points that we have to mention about this. It's very important to know that if somebody wakes up in the morning and has to go to the bathroom, so Chazal made it clear that you're not allowed to make any blessing while you have to go to the bathroom. If you have to go to the bathroom, so you got to make sure that you relieve yourself, and then you can say brachot. But at the same time, you also have to make sure that you're not walking around with hands that have tumah on them. So what do? So the Mishnah Berurah, the Ben Ish Chai, and if you look in the English Yalkut Yosef, they all say the following. What you do is the following. You wash when you wake up in the morning, Natilat Yadayim, like we said before. You hold the, one second, sorry, I have to let everyone in. You hold the cup in your right hand. You pass it in your right, pass it to the left hand. You go ahead and you pour on the right, pour on the left, etc. As we mentioned before, and you don't make the blessing. No al natilat yadayim, no blessing yet. Why? Because at this point you still have to relieve yourself. So being that you have to relieve yourself right now, it's simply not, you cannot make the blessing yet. So then you go to the bathroom, you do what you have to do. When you come out of the bathroom, then you subsequently again do netilat yadayim, and then you say a blessing. That is the procedure that is brought down by the Mishnah Berurah, the Ben Ish Chai, and if you look in the English Yalkut Yosef, he also says to do the same thing. So it's very important to notice that, because most of the time when somebody wakes up, he usually does have to go to use the restroom, and therefore they cannot just say the blessing of al netilat yadayim as they wake up. At the same time, though, you do want to wash in order to get off the ruach ra'ah from yourself. You see, it's important to know that this ruach tumah that exists on the hands is something that you don't want to keep on your hands for a long time. You want to remove it. You want to get it off of your hands. You don't want to touch food. You don't want to touch clothing. You don't want to touch anything really until you remove this from your hands. That's the most ideal way of doing it. Just get rid of it as soon as possible. That's the best thing that you can do. So what you want to do is take care of that. And like I said, if you have to use the restroom, you can't make the blessing just yet. Go ahead, go to the bathroom, come out, wash again, and then you say the bracha. Yes, we have a question over here. Let me just take a look. Sorry, somebody wants to
also, I have a question, Rabbi. So just to clarify, so when I get up in the morning, I have to go to the bathroom. So I have to wash without, do netila bli bracha, without bracha, go to the bathroom, come back, netila, and then asher yatzar.
And then you say, you make the bracha al netilat yadayim. Correct. And then you say asher yatzar. Exactly.
Got it. Thank you so much. I learned something new.
Okay, fantastic. Great. Okay, we have another question though.
Is it possible to do al netilat yadayim in the restroom?
So no. So the thing is, you'll never say a blessing in the restroom because
just wash the hands in the bathroom.
Oh, so washing the hands in the bathroom is going to depend. If you're just washing your hands to get off the ruach ra'ah in the beginning, so although it's not the ideal place to do it, but technically that would accomplish the initial ruach ra'ah removal that we're talking about. So if let's say you had to go to the bathroom, so you wash your hands in the bathroom, and then you relieve yourself, come out, and then say netilat yadayim, technically that would work. But again, it would be better if you could do it outside of the bathroom, because there is a ruach ra'ah in the bathroom itself, which you don't want either.
Also, I have another question about modani. So some people like talk in their sleep or like walk in their sleep. So is that possible for half their soul to be with them, and then when they wake up, the other half is restored?
Yeah, so that's actually what I was mentioning before, that it's not the entire soul that departs the body. The soul has a few parts to it. There's nefesh, there's ruach, and there's neshama. And the neshama is what ascends to the shamayim totally. The nefesh still stays in the body. So it's not a complete removal. That's why the rabbis say that when a person sleeps, it's like tasting 1/60th of death. So it's not a complete removal of the neshama. There's still parts of it inside the body, but yes, there is a part that ascends to shamayim as well.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one more question over here. Let me just take a look. Sorry. Okay. Are you allowed to make brachot in your room? Some people have private bathrooms that are connected to their rooms. Yes, as long as your room is outside of the bathroom and the bathroom door is closed. In other words, there's no smell, there's no odor coming out of the bathroom. So then technically you could say a blessing there. Yes. You have to make sure if you're a mom with kids that have diapers and things like that, that there are no diapers around in the room. That's something which is a problem. Sometimes people leave diapers around and there's urine, there's feces in there. You got to make sure not to say a bracha within 4 amot of that, or actually you should really just remove it because you shouldn't be seeing it either when you make a blessing. Okay, just one more question here. Can you do Natila in the bathroom and say the bracha outside of the bathroom? Okay, so that's what I was trying to say before. If you're doing the full Natilat Yadayim procedure, in other words, you're going to say the blessing right now, you really should not do Natila in the bathroom. You should be doing that somewhere else. The best would be by your bed. It would be even better if you could do it, let's say, the best would be by your bed. If you can't do it by your bed, maybe in the kitchen sink, that would be better. If you're simply trying to wash your hands in order to at least get it off of your hands before you relieve yourself, then you could do it in the bathroom and then come outside and wash, let's say, in the kitchen sink and wash and make a blessing over there. But, okay.
So I have another question. Question, Rabbi. So,
yes.
Is it true that if the bathroom have a separate room for the toilet, the door is closed, is it okay to do Netilat Yadayim in the bathroom?
In other words,
the toilet is in a separate place and it's closed with door and wall.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. Does that room have a shower though?
Yeah, but the shower is the shower is in the area where the sink is, but the toilet is the problem, no?
Okay. So if there's a shower there, so then I did see, even though there's a shower, still some poskim allow you to make a bracha there as well. But
not a bracha. Not a bracha.
Yeah.
I'm asking about the Natila itself.
The Natila itself. Nevertheless, I mean, if you ask me
not
personally,
the bracha outside.
I would do it outside. I would personally do it outside.
The Natila?
Yes. If you're doing the actual Netilat Yadayim and you're going to say a bracha outside, personally, I would do it outside.
But the sink is inside the bathroom. So you say, so what do I do? Every time I come out of the bathroom, I have to go to another room? I have to go to the kitchen? I don't have a sink outside of the bathroom.
Okay, so what you can do is very simple. When you wake up in the morning, you have to go to the bathroom, right? So go to that sink, wash Netilat Yadayim, no blessing. Go to the bathroom, come outside, and then go to the kitchen and wash over there, al Netilat Yadayim.
And all the way, go all the way to the kitchen for Netilat Yadayim after sleeping?
Or somewhere nearby, wherever else you have a sink outside of the bathroom.
Only in the kitchen.
Okay.
But it's a lot more than 6 feet of walking.
No, but you already got rid of that when you washed in the bathroom.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So now you come outside, you get dressed, you go and you wash in the kitchen. Okay, sorry, we had a couple of questions here, but we have to move on. So let me see the questions, then we'll move. Okay. Okay. What is the earliest time to say Netilat Yadayim? Is it after sunrise? No. You can say Netilat Yadayim if you wake up at 3 a.m. There's no problem. 2 a.m. If you went to sleep at, let's say, 10 p.m. and you woke up at 11 p.m. and that's your sleep for the night, you could say Netilat Yadayim. It doesn't matter.
So what if you get up and then go back to sleep?
We're going to talk about that at length. Just give us a minute. We'll get there. Okay. One more question. Hi, how come we put down the cup in between washing left and right hand? Okay. So we have a couple of points here. Number one. Sorry, there's a lot of questions, but let's just get to as much as we can. The idea is like this. We are trying, first of all, to grab the cup with your right hand, okay? You grab the cup with your right hand. The reason that you grab the cup with your right hand is because we're trying to show that the right overpowers the left. Right, according to Kabbalah, represents mercy. Left represents severity. There's chesed and there's gvura. We want the chesed, the kindness, to overpower the gvura, the severity. So when you grab it with your right hand, then you pass it to your left directly, and then you pour the left on the right in order that the right should be subservient to your the left should be subservient to the right. Now, the question was, why do you put down the cup in between the left and the right? The answer is that we don't want the left, according to this opinion who says you put down the cup in between, we don't want the left passing directly to the right. We want the left to put it down and then to proceed further. In other words, the whole idea is that the right should overpower the left. That's the idea, that the left should be subservient to the right. That's the whole concept over there. Okay, sorry, we have a bunch more questions. I'll try to get to as much as we can. We just have a lot to talk about.
One more question. I'm sorry. I think I missed what you said, and it's important. You put right. You take it with the right. You bring it to the left. You put to the right. You put to the left. Then you put it down.
So no. So there are some who say that.
Oh, not
left,
all. Okay.
Not all. Some are makpid. The Halichot Yosef brings down that yesh makpidim, that the people take from the left, and instead of passing to the right, they put it down, and then the right takes it. Why? So that the left shouldn't be equal to the right. The left should be less than the right. It should be pachot from the right. That's the idea. So then they put it down, then the right hand takes it and pours on the left. That's the idea. Okay. You don't have to do that, but there are some who are makpid on that. Okay, sorry, we just had a couple of more questions, and then we're going to move on. Okay, if the bathroom.
Hi, Rabbi.
Sorry.
So sorry, because I came in a little later.
Okay.
I just want to double check. So let's say someone who gets up in the middle of the night a few times.
Okay, we're going to talk about up in the middle of the night in just a second. You know what? Might as well talk about it now. Okay.
And my other question is, if you whenever you get up, when you're saying to go to the bathroom, if the closest thing to you or water to you is the bathroom, and you go in and you just wash the bad stuff off, you would do like Natilat Yadayim, but you don't say the bracha when you come out?
So again, the thing is like
this. No?
What you want to do the following. The first thing you want to do is get the ruach tumah off of your hands. That's the first thing you want to do. Get it off of your hands. So for that reason, many people leave the water by their bed, and they simply wake up and wash their hands by doing that. That's the best thing you could do. Now, if that's not an option for whatever reason, so then the next thing that you want to do is get to the closest source of water that you can. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because most people, when they wake up, they have to use the bathroom. And when you have to use the bathroom, you can't say the blessing just yet. So what you do is you go to the bathroom, you can take the cup, wash Natilat Yadayim, no blessing, because you still have to use the bathroom. So you simply wash in the manner that we spoke about, and then you use the restroom, come out, and then find yourself some other sink outside the kitchen, let's say sink, somewhere like that you go ahead and you wash over there, full Natilat Yadayim with saying a blessing.
Okay, got you. Because I always had the impression that by washing your hands, once you get up washing your hands and saying Natilat Yadayim, you're actually getting rid of the tumah.
You can't do that in a bathroom. You can't you shouldn't be doing that in a bathroom itself. Okay. Because the bathroom itself also has ruach tumah. So, so you're getting rid of the tumah of the nighttime, using the facilities, coming out, washing in the sink, in the kitchen, and then saying Al Natilat Yadayim.
I get that. Okay, and then this is another, but if you leave water by your bed, wouldn't that be considered also? Because you know how they say, like at nighttime, you can't leave anything uncovered, or
correct. Cover it. You should cover it. Correct.
You should cover it then, right?
Yes.
If you're leaving water. Okay, and then you could just do Natilat, but then if you leave it by your bed and you use it whenever you get up, you could say Natilat then, even if you have to go to the bathroom after.
If you have to use the bathroom, you should not say the blessing Al Natilat Yadayim yet. You should wash by your bedside, relieve yourself after you go to the bathroom, relieve yourself, and then come out and then say Al Natilat Yadayim.
Now, okay, so there is the question. Like if many of us have the kitchen, which is the only place for us to do that. So if we leave the water by the bed, but we have to use the bathroom, we just do Natilat without the blessing, go to the bathroom, come back out and go to the room where the water is
Yes.
And use that water to do Netilat Yadayim again?
No, come out of the bathroom and then go to the kitchen, wash your hands with new water from the sink, and then you make al Netilat Yadayim.
Okay, but that's where I have my question, where if you have to do this, if you get up in the middle of the night a few times.
Okay,
Now,
so we're going to
go
talk
ahead.
about that in just a second.
Okay.
So just
Rabbi, I had a question.
yes.
People were saying how the kitchen is father. What if you go to the bathroom and wash and you leave the water by your bed and you use the water by your bed to say the bracha after the bathroom?
That's what I was
people were
saying.
But which is it? Water you already used to wash your hands?
No, you save that water for after the bathroom.
Okay, you could do that too. That's a great idea.
People were saying how the kitchen is father. Wouldn't that be easier for people?
I mean, that's true, but I was just thinking if you already have water by the bed, then you might as well go ahead and use that for your initial waking up in the morning. You understand?
Yeah,
That's
just
what I
people were complaining before how their kitchen is father. So I just think
I hear. It would work. As long as you have the concept clear, then that's what counts. Get rid of the tumah off your hands first of all. Don't touch things. Just simply go ahead and get rid of that tumah. Use the restroom. Come out. Make the wash again, and then say al Netilat Yadayim. Okay. So that's the basic concept. Now, one point that I wanted to make about when you wash Netilat Yadayim before we talk about waking up in the middle of the night. Number one, you have to make sure that first of all, when you wash Netilat Yadayim, you get your entire hand. Okay. You want to make sure that you get every part of your hand. You don't leave any part of your hand dry. So when you wash Netilat Yadayim, make sure you rotate your hand so you get every part of your hand up until the wrist totally wet. That's number one. Number two, after you wash your Netilat Yadayim, you go ahead and you lift up your hands, okay? Lift them up to around the area of your head, okay? And then you go ahead and you say the blessing, Asher Kiddushanu b'mitzvah tzivanu al Netilat Yadayim, and then you go ahead and you dry your hands, okay? So first of all, I skipped one thing. You have to also, after you wash your hands Netilat Yadayim, you rub them. First of all, like we said, get your entire hand, rotate it, get your wrist, get up until the wrist, rub them, okay? Lift them up, okay, like this. You have to understand, when you wash Netilat Yadayim, there's incredible blessing from Shemaim that comes to you. You hold it like this, it kind of comes back at you away in a certain way. So it's a moment of tremendous blessing. Lift them up and then make the blessing. And after you make the blessing, then you dry your hands, okay? Don't dry your hands and then say the blessing. Make the blessing al Netilat Yadayim and then dry your hands, okay? That's very important to be aware of in the procedure of washing Netilat Yadayim. So again, one more time, you grab it with your right hand, right? Pass to the left, pour on your right. I can either put it down or the right takes it, pours on the left, etc. 6 times in total, and then rub it, shif, then you lift it up like this to around your head area, make the blessing al Netilat Yadayim, and dry it. That's the procedure for Netilat Yadayim. Now, remember, make sure you say the blessing before you dry your hands. That's important to watch out for. If somebody touched food before washing Netilat Yadayim, so then ideally you should wash it. You should wash it a few times, I think 3 times. That's important to try and do. Okay.
Wash the food?
A question.
If you need to. Yeah, sorry, what?
If you're left-handed, do you put the cup into your right hand and then pour in your left hand first? That's what I learned. Because that I should always wash my left side first.
It's interesting. I'm also a lefty, actually, but I believe that we follow the Kabbalistic procedure on this one. So we stick to the way that it says it, the way that I said to do it. Meaning, you grab it with the right hand, pass to the left, pour on the right, etc. Because again, Kabbalistically speaking, the right is the attribute of kindness, of chesed, and the left is severity. So that kind of overpowers, the other rules at this point. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, great. Okay, so that's as far as I know. Now, so that's the procedure of Netilat Yadayim. Now, when it comes to the act of waking up in the middle of the night, a person might wake up in the middle of the night for a bunch of reasons. He might need, or she might need to go to the bathroom. She might have a dry throat, might need some water. She might need to take care of the baby, maybe to give him a pacifier, maybe to nurse him, or plain old tossing and turning in bed, can't fall asleep. So you have a bunch of different reasons why somebody might wake up in the middle of the night. So there's no question in the first three scenarios that I described. Let's say a person has to go to the bathroom, or a person has to wants to drink water or to take care of the baby. So the person is going to be up now for a little bit of time. Let's say he's going to the bathroom, he has to drink some water. There's no question the best thing would be to wash Netilat Yadayim. If the person is able to do that quickly and briefly, that is definitely a very good and correct thing to do. If that's difficult for the person, let's say that they want to drink water, for example. They just want to get that dryness out of their throat and go right back to sleep. So then I saw that the Yalkut Yosef does permit a person to simply rub his hands, to kind of, rub them against his blanket or his sheet or her sheet, and just kind of get off whatever he can, get that tuma off of the hand by rubbing it against the sheet or the blanket, saying the blessing she'akol on the water, and then drinking, and then saying borei nefashot if they had enough, and going right back to sleep. So technically, that would be permissible, and the same would hold true for if, let's say, somebody was, waking up, but maybe having a little bit of indigestion or some bad dreams or something, but they don't really want to wake up. They want to go straight back to sleep. So again, they could, they don't have to get up and wash Netilat Yadayim at that very moment. They can just try and stay sleeping, and there's no problem. But once you start talking about waking up and staying awake, like taking care of a baby and feeding the baby and touching the baby and all these things, so you want to get the tuma off of your hand. You don't want to be up and touching everything. So the best thing would be to go ahead and wash Netilat Yadayim at the very least in the bathroom, but better outside of the bathroom, and just get the tuma off of yourself. Even if you want to stay up for just a few minutes, it's worth it, so you don't go around touching everything. Get yourself back to sleep afterwards, and then when you wake up in the morning, you can go ahead and wake up and wash Netilat Yadayim with a blessing, no problem. Okay, so that's with respect to that. Okay. Now, once you say Netilat Yadayim, okay, we have a question here, sorry. We had a bunch of questions. I'm sorry if I didn't get to everyone's question. What if you accidentally rub your eyes while you are still in bed? Do your eyes become impure? No, your eyes don't become impure. You could just wash them. It's all about lechatchila. Lechatchila means ideally, which means we try to ideally avoid these things. Even if a person touched food b'di'avad and there's no way of washing it, technically a person's still allowed to eat it. But again, right now we're in the realm of lechatchila, which means ideally we don't want to be touching these things. So therefore, you go ahead, you wash your hands. If a person did touch his eyes, you can wash off his eyes, and that's it. You don't have to worry about it much more than that. Okay. So we have another question?
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
If someone took a more than an hour nap during the day, do they say Natila with the bracha?
So they wake up, they wash their hands, but they do not say the blessing of Al Netilat Yadayim.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, let's continue. So now, okay. So a person washes Al Netilat Yadayim, Baruch Hashem. They did the mitzvah. That's wonderful. You just mentioned that that there are times where you have to wash, even though it's not in the morning. Might as well go into a few of them right now. Whenever a person comes out of the bathroom, we are obligated to wash our hands. It's ideal to do it in a way that's al netilat yadayim, meaning not that you say a blessing of al netilat yadayim, but you at least wash it in the same fashion. It's not required. This is not required, but it's a very good thing to do. Like, for example, when we wake up in the morning, we wash al netilat yadayim with a vessel. When leaving the bathroom, you don't have to have that vessel there, but you do have to wash your hands nevertheless. By the way, when washing Netilat Yadayim in the morning for Shachrit, it's brought down that you don't have to remove your ring. It's a good thing to remove your ring if you're wearing a ring, but if, let's say, you're having trouble to do it, let's say a person's hand is swollen, you don't have to remove your ring for washing Netilat Yadayim Shachrit in the morning. I saw that brought down also. So, but in general, it's important to know you must wash your hands in halacha after going to the bathroom, after showering, after cutting your nails, after taking off your shoes and touching your feet, things like that. If a person was involved in removing lice from someone's head, if somebody went to the cemetery, if somebody touched, God forbid, or was in a room of a dead body, the person has to wash their hands. And ideally, if you can, do it in the format of sirugim, which means that you do one, and one, like Netilat Yadayim in the morning. That would be the best. If not, at the very least, washing it without a vessel would be the right thing to do as well. Now, in general, it's important to note that it's good to avoid going to a cemetery unless you have to go. So it's important to know that. You shouldn't really go to a cemetery in general unless you have to go. Let's say for a yard site, askara, something like that. But if, let's say, that you don't need to be there, it's better not to, especially ladies that are pregnant. It's brought down that women who are pregnant really should not be going to the cemetery because of the fact that that place scares the fetus. So it's therefore not correct to do that. It's also brought down, yes, when getting a haircut. I definitely have heard that when you get a haircut, it's also something to do Natila. We have here a question. I saw somewhere that you need to do Megillah after scratching your Natila, after scratching your scalp, and a haircut. Is that true? So yes, after scratching your scalp, no question that you need to do Natila. Any point in the body that is covered, generally speaking, needs Natila, meaning you need to wash your hands afterwards. So therefore, it is that is definitely correct. Haircut is also something which people do. Funny, I didn't see it actually brought down in the list, but I definitely am aware of such a custom. What about changing a diaper? Definitely, yes, definitely. When you're touching, things like that, you definitely have to wash at the very least, even without a vessel. But you need to wash, ideally with a vessel. When it comes to leaving the bathroom, ideally with a vessel. I meant to say with sirugim, which means like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but it's not required to have a vessel. We have some more questions here. Wash with soap before or after Natila. It doesn't really make a difference. What about the one that's getting the haircut? Yes, the same thing. Cutting kids' nails. Do both wash? No. Only the person whose nails are cut. If you're cutting somebody else's nails, you don't have to wash your hands, but they have to wash their hands. Okay, one last question here. Do we do Natila in the middle of the night before feeding a baby? Ideally, yes, you should. If you're going to be involved in touching a baby, like we said before, you should wash your hands, get off the tumah. Okay, let's move on. So a person goes ahead and, I have one last question here before we move on. Can hands already be wet when washing Natila? Interesting question. Can hands already be wet when washing Natila? As far as I know, they can be wet. I don't know why they can't be wet. As far as I know, it should be fine.
Rabbi, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
If I'm washing if I cut my nails or my hair, I wouldn't say the bracha. I would just wash.
If what?
If I cut my nails or cut my hair, I just wash. I don't say any bracha.
No bracha. Correct. No bracha.
And then for using the bathroom, it's the same requirement as putting the cup down and putting the cup up for Natila. It would be the same level.
Regular going to the bathroom. Regular going to the bathroom technically does not need the cup. It doesn't. All you need to do technically, if you can, is just. The best thing would be to wash your hands sirugim, which means 1, etc. But technically, you don't need a cup for that. Okay, and you definitely don't make a blessing on that.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so let's move on.
Wait,
So now-
Rabbi, I'm sorry, I have one question. Forgive me. Let's say you're at a shopping center or whatever, and you have to use the bathroom. And obviously there's no cup there. So can you wash under the sink one, right, left, right, left, right, left,
That's what I'm saying.
and
You
come
don't-
outside and do the
Yeah,
bracha?
you definitely don't need a cup for after the bathroom. It's a good thing, but it's not needed. If a person doesn't have one, it's fine. Wash your hands and go outside and make the bracha, and that's it. Make asher, that's it. Okay. Now, let's say one more point before we move on. It's very important to realize that that we talked about before about going to the cemetery. Also, we spoke about the idea of sometimes you have certain things that are certain places that are holy, certain situations that are holy. For example, changing a diaper, we just mentioned, it often happens, at homes all the time. Make sure you don't change your diaper. For example, in a place like this, you have, let's say, Sifrei Kodesh. You don't want to change your diaper in front of the Sifrei Kodesh. The smell gets up, all over the place. It's not kavod for the books in the back. That's important as well. Also, you should make sure that, let's say you have Shabbat candles that are lit. You shouldn't allow the kids to walk around, let's say if they're, playing or whatever, if they're naked, they shouldn't be naked in front of the Shabbat candles, in front of the Hanukkah candles. It's considered disrespect to the mitzvah. So therefore, you got to watch out for things like that from time to time. Okay. Now, person goes ahead and makes Natilat Yadayim, Baruch Hashem, and now they go on after they had just relieved themselves, Baruch Hashem. So now they go ahead and they say the blessing of Asher Yatzar et Adam b'chokhmah, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu fashioned man with wisdom. The most amazing thing, the human body. This is a blessing that we thank Hashem for the use of our body, that we're able to relieve ourselves. And it's the most incredible thing that the body opens up at the right time to release the waste and closes at the right time. And we said that if any one of the parts of our body, the hollow tubes, if they were to close, God forbid, or if they were to open up, or if the holes of our body, the cavities of our body were to open up or to be sealed, we would cease to exist automatically. And therefore, we thank Hashem for that. It's not something that should be taken for granted. It's a very, very important thing, very necessary thing. And when a person says this blessing with proper kavanah, with proper intention, with proper thoughts, with focusing, then that is a big segula. It's something which is very helpful for the person's health. Hashem sees that as something which is worthy of giving and granting the person good health. That's why this blessing, if you'll count the words of the blessing, at least in the Sephardic Siddur, you'll see 45 words in this blessing. And that's because 45 is also the gematria of the word Adam. Adam means man. And it's for the wholeness of the man, for the health of the man, that the person goes ahead. It doesn't mean man only, means human. Any person, man or woman, any human. And it's very important to say this blessing with kavanah. And we end off that blessing with Rofeh Chol Basar U'Mafli La'asot, which means that Hashem is the healer of all flesh and does wonders. And it's really a wonder. If you take a look at the human body, it's the most incredible thing. It's the most incredible thing to see how the body functions. The Shulchan Aruch explains that you see the body is able to retain that which is necessary and expel the waste. That's a miraculous thing which we have no control over. Our body does it on its own. It's amazing. Also, the Shulchan Aruch explains that this is a miracle in the sense that if a person takes a balloon, for example, and fills it up with air, the minute you poke a hole inside of it, it explodes. It cannot stay that way anymore. If it's just air that's filling up this big balloon, once you have a hole there, it pops open. Whereas the human body, when a person is, the person has a Nishaman inside of him, but there are many holes. There's the mouth, there's the ears, there's the eyes, there's the behind. Everything is there, and yet still the person is functioning. That's a wondrous thing. The Neshama doesn't just leave the body. Furthermore, it's an amazing thing that the body is totally physical and the Neshama is completely spiritual. And yet still Hashem is able to weave the two together and join them up as one. And therefore we say this blessing, Asher Yatzar et Adam b'chokhmah. So the next thing on the list of things to do, so you start off Moda Ani Lefanecha, you go ahead, you wash Netilat Yadayim, relieve yourself, come out, make Netilat Yadayim with a blessing. And the next thing on the list of things to do is to say Asher Yatzar et Adam b'chokhmah. Once you complete this blessing, which may be said while standing or while sitting, it doesn't make a difference. You could read it from a sidur. The point is that you should have proper kavanah when you say this blessing. Don't be walking around. Don't be involved in other things. Just say it, focus on it. It's a tremendous segula for good health. Very important. If anybody is having issues with their health, recommend this to them in order that they should have good health. It's a big segula for good health. Yes, sorry, we had one question.
So if somebody, it's about washing your hands, Natila. If someone wakes up at if they go to sleep at 10 and they wake up at 11 to use the bathroom, they say Natila, and then they go back to sleep and they wake up at 7 or 8 or 9. Do they say Natila again?
So if you're waking up at 10 o'clock and your intention is, let's say you go to sleep at 10, you wake up at 11. So you have to ask yourself, what am I going to do now? Am I going to be awake now? If the answer is I'm going to be awake, then you wash and you say Al Netilat Yadayim, and that's it. And you have removed the Ruach Ra'ah from yourself. Now, it's a great question. I didn't mention this before, but there's one important point which I would like to mention. I'm glad you brought it up. There's an important difference between a person who goes to sleep before Chatzot and a person who goes to sleep after Chatzot. When Chatzot means midnight halachically, which is basically the same time as midday. You just have to see what time Chatzot is in the day. You'll know what time Chatzot is at nighttime. It's the opposite end of daytime. So when a person goes to sleep before Chatzot, so then there's no question that the Ruach Ra'ah is on his hand when he wakes up in the morning. When a person goes to sleep after Chatzot, so then it's important to know that the Ruach Ra'ah is by far less intense than if he were to go to sleep before Chatzot. So why does it make a difference? So if let's say that the person went to sleep at 10, woke up at 11, and then went to sleep again before Chatzot, so then still you have this Ruach Ra'ah that the person needs to deal with when he wakes up again at 6 a.m. Because the fact that they washed before doesn't really get rid of the fact that they still went to sleep again before Chatzot. That would not be the same if, let's say, the person went to bed at 10 p.m., woke up at 3 a.m., which is well after Chatzot, washed their hands, and then went back to sleep at 4. Then already we can still say that she washed her hands at 3 in the morning, well after Chatzot, and she got rid of the Ruach Tumah. The fact that she went to sleep again, that doesn't really bring such a Ruach Tumah back onto her. So when she would wake up in the morning again, she would wash Netilat Yadayim, but she wouldn't say a blessing because she already said a blessing at 3 in the morning. That's a good point that you brought up. So there's a difference between a person who wakes up at 11 p.m. and walks around for half an hour and then goes to sleep again, and it's before Chatzot. So then when she wakes up in the morning, she would still have to say a blessing on Netilat Yadayim. However, if let's say she woke up at 11 p.m. and then went to sleep at 3 a.m. again, so then when she wakes up at 6, she wouldn't have to say Al Netilat Yadayim again, because once you already washed, you got the Ruach Tumah off. If you then go to sleep already after Chatzot, you wouldn't have to say Al Netilat Yadayim again. I hope that was clear to everybody.
Yeah, it's just Chatzot is 6 hours after sunrise.
I'll tell you right now, for example, if you bear with me for 1 second, I will let you know what time is Chatzot. Hold on. So Chatzot today was 12 p.m. That works out perfect. Chatzot today was 12 p.m. So that means that Chatzot tonight is actually going to be 12 a.m., which is that works out very well. So
anything before 12 a.m. is more impure, right? So if somebody wakes up before 12 a.m. and then they just go back to sleep right away, like after they use the bathroom, do they have to wash?
They have to, if they're waking up to go to the bathroom, the best thing would be to wash Netilat Yadayim. The thing is, though, that when they go to sleep before 12 a.m. again, so then they're going to get the Tumah all over again. You understand? That's the point. When they wake up, they would have to wash out Netilat Yadayim.
Thank you.
Does this apply also for if you take naps in the middle of the day?
No, so if you take naps in the middle of the day, so then you wake up and you wash your hands, but you don't say a blessing al Netilat Yadayim. Alrighty? Okay. So now, person
One
wakes up.
second, Rabbi. One more question, please. So if I
Sure.
go to sleep at night after Chatzot Hayom, I still have to do Natila in the morning, no?
If you go to sleep
After Chatzot Halayla, I'm sorry. After
Yes.
Chatzot Halayla Ilchati.
Yes, you still have to wash al Netilat Yadayim, correct. You still have to do it. I'm
Even though
talking about a case where she already washed Netilat Yadayim. Let's say she was very
Before.
tired. She got home at 7 p.m. She knocked out on the couch. She woke up at 11.
Mhm.
She wakes up. She washes al Netilat Yadayim. She even, she says a blessing. She's still totally, whatever, tired. She goes back to sleep. Wakes up at 5 a.m.
Right.
So she still has the ruach tumah on her hands because it's before chatzot, right?
Mhm.
As opposed to if, let's say, she went to sleep at 11, woke up at 3 in the morning, decided to read something, whatever, washed Netilat Yadayim, went back to sleep at 4, and then wakes up again at 7. When she wakes up at 7, she doesn't say al Netilat Yadayim with a blessing because she already said it at 3 when she woke up the first time.
So if she said it, it's bracha levatala?
Could be, yeah.
Okay.
You understand
So
the point?
because it's after.
Yeah, because she already woke up at 3 in the morning. She said al Netilat Yadayim, and she took care of the ruach tumah. Now she goes back to sleep. It's already after chatzot. There's no when she goes to sleep at this point, the ruach tumah is very different. She already took care of it basically at 3 in the morning. So therefore, she wouldn't have to say al Netilat Yadayim again with a blessing. She should wash her hands, but it's more like a daytime nap where you wash your hands, but there's no blessing.
Are there different levels of Tuma before Chatzot and after Chatzot? If
Yes,
this
that's
part doesn't
exactly what
apply? If like
that's
you don't
exact-
wake up to wash?
No, I mean, either way, if you go to sleep before chatzot, you go to sleep after chatzot, when you wake up at 6 in the morning, you make al Netilat Yadayim with a blessing. I was just talking about a unique case.
Different levels that if they do wake up and wash in the middle of the night is different levels
Yeah,
of
exactly. Okay, good. Okay, now let's move on to after Asher Yatzar. The next blessing that we have in the Sephardic custom is that you, after Asher Yatzar, the next thing that you say is Elokai Neshama Shenatata B'Kirbi Torah, right? Which you say, Hashem, my God, the Neshama that you have given me is pure. You have given it to me. You have created it. You have formed it. You have blown it into my body, and you're thanking Hashem that He gave it back to you. And you're also acknowledging the fact that Hashem at one point will take it away and ultimately restore it at the time of Techiyat HaMetim. But you're saying that as long as it's inside your body, you give thanks to Hashem for that, and you make that blessing, Baruch Atah Hashem Machazir Neshamot Livgavei Metim, which basically we're saying is that the body without a soul is nothing. It's basically a dead body. But once you have given it back, given us back our neshama, you have given it life again, and you have basically revived the dead, which is ultimately foreshadowing the idea that at the end of days, Hashem will revive the dead. Be'ezrat Hashem, we should all see it. Be'ezrat Hashem, Techiyat HaMetim, one of the 13 principles of our faith. Now, it's important to make sure that you say Elokai Neshama right after Asher Yatzar. So you say Asher Yatzar Dadam Chochma, Baruch Atah Hashem Machazir Rofecho Basar Mafil Asot, and right away go into Elokai Neshama. Now, when you say Elokai Neshama, make sure that you give a little pause between Elokai and Neshama. Don't say Elokai Neshama, right? Elokai Neshama Shenatati B'Torai. Rather, Elokai, comma. Neshama shenatata bi torahi. My God, pause. The soul that you have placed within me is pure. The reason that you do that is because if not, then God forbid, it could be as if you're saying that my God is the soul that I have, which is not a good thing. That's as if you're praying to your soul, which is not a good, doesn't sound good. And it's kfirah. So therefore, give that little pause. Elokai, kama, neshama shenatata bi tehorahi, ata b'ratata, etzarta, etc. And do it right after asher yatzar. The reason for that is because it was meant to be as one blessing connected to the other. If, let's say, for whatever reason, a person did not connect the two, nevertheless, he still says, Elokai, Neshama, doesn't make a difference. But ideally, it should be right after Asher Yatzar. Once
Rabbi,
we do that, yes.
I'm sorry, should I ask after?
No. What's up?
I have a question about that. Let's say like you, in the morning after you use the restroom and you clean up and then you say Natilat Yadayim and then you say the bracha for Natilat Yadayim and then you say Asher Yatzar. And then whenever you start your brachot, should you say those brachot again? And then Elohai Neshama?
Again, I'm sorry, what did you want to do?
Okay, so let's say in the morning, like right after you do Natilat Yadayim, you say the bracha for Natilat Yadayim and you say Asher Yatzar. And then whenever you open your Siddur and you start davening again, should you say those brachot again and then say Elohai Neshama?
No. What you want to do is have the Siddur right next to you. Say Al Natilat Yadayim. Jump into Asher Yatzar, and right afterwards, Elokai Neshama. Only one time Natilat Yadayim, only one time Asher Yatzar. Okay?
Hashem, Rabbi, so, sorry, I just wanted to ask you, can you be in your PJs while doing this? Or do you need to be dressed?
Yes. No, you could be in your pajamas, yes.
Okay, so then, but the Begata Shachat, like the other blessings, you should be dressed, no?
Technically, you can still be in your pajamas.
Okay.
All right? As long as you're covered.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
So
okay.
You should say Natilat Yadayim, Asher Yatzar, Elohei Neshama, and then like you could wait, get ready, and then say the brachot and start your tefillah.
Yes. Correct. Okay. So Baruch Hashem, we said Al Natilat Yadayim, we said Asher Yatzar, we said Elokai Neshama. Now we go into Birkot HaShachar. Now, Birkot HaShachar are blessings that the Talmud tells us a person should say when he wakes up in the morning. This is relevant to men. This is relevant to women. Everybody is equally obligated in these blessings. The idea of a blessing in general is in order to acknowledge every little detail that Hashem does for the person. It's not that the rabbis are imposing things on us to make our lives difficult. The opposite. A person has a more happy, more satisfying life when he acknowledges just how good Hashem has been to him, just how amazing Hashem has done so much and created so much in the world and given him so much. He becomes such a more thankful person. He realizes how much Hashem has done for him. So then he first of all acknowledges all of that. Number two, when he acknowledges how good Hashem is to him, then Hashem says, he realizes that I'm doing all of this for him. I should really give him even more because he understands what's going on. That's the general idea behind blessing. When you say blessings, you actually bring blessings upon yourself. So over here, the brachot that we are saying are in order to acknowledge every little thing that people take for granted and don't, stop and think about. We are stopping to think about them right now. And these blessings could be said while you're standing. These blessings could be said while you're sitting. It doesn't really matter in what state you're in. Meaning you can be standing, sitting, at least according to the Sephardic tradition. I know by the Ashkenazim, many of them stand, but we could do it standing or sitting. Fine. Let's take it step by step. The first blessing is Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam hanoten lasechvi vina lehavchin ben yom uven laila, which means that Hashem, you give the two interpretations here, either the rooster or the heart, the understanding to differentiate between day and night. The rooster, starts to crow at the time when it's dawn. He understands when it's day and when it's night. It's an amazing thing that Hashem put into the nature. Also, the heart can differentiate between day and night. And the idea is that, there is a difference between day and night, and we are able to tell that. That's number one. Number two, Pokeach ivrim, that we thank Hashem for the ability to see. Not everybody can see. There are plenty of people that don't have that ability. They unfortunately, are lacking this, but we, Baruch Hashem, can see it. And therefore, we make a blessing on that. Number 3, Matir Asurim is a blessing for the fact that when we are in bed, it's as though we are tied down to the bed. It's as though we are like in jail, because when you're sleeping really heavily in sleep, you're basically not able to move. It's as if you're tied down. So when you wake up, you say, Matir Asurim, Hashem, you have untied me from the bed. And then you sit up, but you're still kind of bent over, you're hunched over. So then you say, Baruch atah Hashem zokef kefufim, that you straighten those that are bent over. Again, these are all things that we can't take for granted. It's not to be taken for granted that we can wake up and get ourselves out of bed. It's not to be taken for granted that we can make ourselves straight in the morning. The next one, malbish arumim. There are plenty of people that unfortunately don't have clothing. They don't have the clothing to wear, unfortunately. So we, Baruch Hashem, make a blessing for the fact that we have clothes to wear. And then next, hanoten laya'ef koach. There are those that, Baruch Hashem, they become very tired. I wake up in the morning, I'm very tired, but Hashem, you give me the strength to go ahead and to continue and to start my day. And that's something which, again, we can't take for granted. Hanoten laya'ef koach. Next, rokah ha'aretz al hamayim, that you have dry land to walk on. Plenty of people have woken up to floods in their house. We remember all kinds of terrible hurricanes and all kinds of tsunamis and who knows what. We have to thank Hashem that Baruch Hashem we're able to walk on the dry land. Next, hamechid mitzadei gaver, Hashem, you plan the footsteps of man. You set them ahead of time. Hamechin, you prepare the footsteps of man. Hashem, you know exactly where I'm headed. You're watching me every step of the way, and you're there with me. These are all, we have to take these things very seriously to bless Hashem for everything that we have. Look at this next blessing. She'asali kol tzorki. That Hashem, you have prepared for me everything that I need. This blessing specifically refers to shoes. The fact that we have shoes to be able to walk around in. That is a blessing, specifically thanking Hashem for the shoes that we wear. And again, not to be taken for granted. There are plenty of people around this world that don't have that. And we have to thank Hashem for that. Next, Ozer Yisrael Bigvura. That Hashem, about shoes, there's a question, when do we omit this blessing? The common custom is that on Tisha B'Av and on Yom Kippur, we don't say Ozer Yisrael Bigvura. The reason being, we don't say She'asali kol tzorki, because we can't wear leather shoes on that day. That's a very common custom. Chacham Vadia held that even on Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippur, you still do say it because it's something that has to do with the general world having shoes. But nevertheless, still, many people have the custom not to say it. I myself don't say it on Tisha B'Av and on Yom Kippur. However, those who follow Chacham Vadia on this one will say it. Okay, next. Ozer Yisrael B'Gvura talks about belts. Hashem, you girdle the Jewish people with strength. So that the Gemara tells us a person puts on his belt and says that blessing. Now, we don't do it as we start walking or as we put on our belts. We say it all together from the SHIUR at one shot, but nevertheless, it's referring to the idea that we have this clothing. Again, similar idea. Oter Yisrael B'Tifara, Hashem, you crown the Jewish people with splendor. Again, for the hat that the person wears. Every step is so important. Next. Next. Shelo asani goy. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech shelo asani goy. Hashem, you did not make me a goy. Now over here, the next three blessings over here have to do with thanking Hashem, not just for the physical needs that are taken care of, but also for the fact that Hashem gave us the opportunity to be involved in the observance of Torah and mitzvot. Now, the important part over here is to understand that the way that the rabbis understood a person will be more grateful and more thankful to Hashem is if you realize what could have been. In other words, once you realize, that this could have gone wrong, and that could have gone wrong, and this could have also gone wrong, so to say. So then you realize, wow, how thankful I have to be. For example, if let's say a person is in a biology class, and they realize there are so many systems to the body. There's the endocrine system. There's the circulatory system. There's the nervous system. There are these types of proteins, those types of acids, different types of things that are involved in the cellular structure of the person, white blood cells, red blood cells. You go through every little detail of the body. The more you are aware of what could actually go wrong with the body and the potentially terrible effects that could have on the person's health, the more thankful you are that, thank God, my nervous system is okay. Thank God, my circulatory system is okay. Thank God, my endocrine system is okay. Thank God, my digestive system is okay. Thank God that I have this and then I have that. In other words, the more you are aware of the different options where things could have gone wrong for the person's health, God forbid, the more thankful you are. In a similar vein, that's what's happening over here when a person is thanking Hashem for his being able to observe the mitzvot. The first thing that a person is thanking Hashem for is Shelo Asani Goy, which means that Hashem, I could have been made a Gentile, which means that I would be completely exempt from all 613 mitzvot. I would be obligated in 7 because the Goyim are obligated in 7 mitzvot, but I would be totally exempt from the rest of the mitzvot. And that's one thing, so to say, that could have been, and it wasn't. So I'm thanking you, Hashem, for that ability that you didn't make me like that. Now, even if you make me obligated in the mitzvot, it didn't necessarily mean that I had to be a free person obligated in the mitzvot, because there is a concept in halacha called a slave. In halacha, there is such a thing called a slave, which we don't have nowadays. But back in the times of Chazal, there was a concept of slavery, and a person could technically purchase either a man or a woman, and that person would be a slave. Now, when a Jew purchases a non-Jewish slave, so technically that non-Jewish slave becomes obligated in mitzvot. So the person is now saying, Hashem, and even if you wanted to obligate me in mitzvot, not necessarily did I have to be a free person that was obligated in mitzvot. I could have been a slave. I could have been a female maidservant. And therefore, Hashem, I'm thanking you that not only did you obligate me in mitzvot, but also you went ahead and did so in a way that I was free. So that's Shelo Asani Shivcha. So the first one we would say, the woman would say, Shelo Asani Goya. Hashem, you did not make me into a Gentile. And the next one you'd say, Shelo Asani Shivcha, which Hashem, you did not make me into a maidservant. Now, if a person was born not Jewish, and now they are Jewish, so then they don't say this blessing, Shelo Asani Goya, because Baruch Hashem, they have the zechut that they actually were created a goy, and they came under the wings of the Shekhinah on their own accord, which is the tremendous level. And so therefore, they wouldn't say this blessing. They would skip that one, but they would say Shelo Asani Shivcha, and they would also say the next one, which is Baruch She'asani Kirtzono, which means that blessed is Hashem that He made me according to His will. Now, this is a blessing that they're thanking Hashem that Hashem created them with specifically exempt from the mitzvot of time-bound mitzvot. We're going to learn B'ezrat Hashem that women are exempt from all time-bound mitzvot. Anything that's related to a set time, for example, tefillin, tzitzit, are things that are applicable only during the daytime. Let's say lulav is only applicable on Sukkot, so they're exempt from that. Let's say shofar, technically a woman is exempt from shofar, even though all of the ladies come to shul to hear shofar, but on a Torah level, they're exempt from shofar. Why? Because it's limited to Rosh Hashanah. So you're thanking Hashem that Hashem made you in a specific way, that Hashem gave you this job to do these mitzvot, and you're exempt from the mitzvot that are time-bound. So Baruch, you don't say Hashem's name, just Baruch She'asani Kirtzono. Blessed is Hashem that he made me according to his will. Okay, there's a lot more to talk about tonight that I have to say, but I think we should hold off on it till next week, Bli Neder. God willing, we'll continue. Unless we have questions, we'll take them now before we break.
Yeah,
I have a question. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Sudhi. Go ahead.
Someone who's blind, they're not obligated to say the bracha of Hashem giving sight to the blind?
Correct. As far as I know, a blind person does not make this blessing. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Rabbi. All the best.
Thank you.
Hi, Rabbi. I just have a question. So after you do Birkat HaShachat and stuff, let's say you get interrupted or something, how much time do you have to do the Shema? Like, what's for women? Like, I know there's a certain time that they have.
Actually, women are exempt from Shema. They don't have to say the Shema. But I mean,
if we want to every day say the Shema and then Amidah, morning Amidah? So if is there a certain time where you can't say it anymore?
No, for women, you could say it at any time you'd like. It's you're totally exempt. I mean, to do the mitzvah, you are the ideal time to say it is the first 3 hours of the day. So nowadays that goes up until somewhere around, I think 9:20 or so, something like that. That's like the ideal time. But technically, you're exempt from Shema, so you don't have to do it. But if you want to, the ideal time would be up until 9:20 or so.
And that's either winter or summer. It doesn't matter.
No. It varies. It depends on every week. It's something else. Actually, you'll always see it on the schedule. We send it out on the schedule.
Yeah, I do see that. Okay.
It changes every week. Yes.
So ideally, it should be before that time that's on the schedule, if you want to make it a mitzvah.
Yes, correct.
But if you didn't get to do it before that time for some reason, then you could still do it after that time. It just wouldn't be considered a mitzvah.
Correct. I mean, it's always a mitzvah in the sense that you're accepting upon yourself the yoke of heaven. You're learning Torah. You're doing a lot of wonderful things when you say the Shema. But as far as the mitzvah of saying Shema, that goes up until whenever the time is. It could be around 9:20 or so, I think, nowadays. The second opinion. Yeah.
Okay.
Alrighty.
And then you have to say Amidah immediately after that.
What's
you
that?
You have to say Amidah immediately after that. Like there can't be any interruption between Shema and Amidah.
Well, I mean, we'll talk about that, B'ezras Hashem, God willing, next time. But for women, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different. I mean, the idea is that you want to get it in, if you can get it in together, that would be better. But it's not exactly the same. We'll talk about it in more detail, God willing, next time. There's a lot to say about it. Yeah.
Rabbi, what tefillah in the morning is until Machatzit hayom?
What's that?
What tefillah in the morning is until Machatzit hayom? Shema or 18? What part of the tefillah?
Amidah
is at Machatzit hayom.
Yes.
What time is that usually, Machatzit hayom?
We just looked it up today. Chatzot is 12 p.m. Yeah. Today Chatzot was 12 p.m. So you want to get into the Amidah before that. Now, ideally, you should know, I mean, Chatzot is b'diavad. If you want to do it lechatchila, which means the most ideal way, the zman is, and I'll tell you right now, you want to get it in before, I'm sorry, 1 second, I'll take a look, 10:26 a.m. Okay? That's better than 12 p.m. The 12 p.m. is b'diavad, if you really, circumstances that are beyond you. But we're going to talk about women's obligation in tefillah. We didn't really get to that yet, so we're going to get to that bli neder next time. Hopefully we'll do it some more justice. I mean, there's a lot to say about that.
Sorry, Rabbi, what's the reason why a woman has to do Natila before she feeds her baby in the middle of the night?
The reason is because you have ruach tum'ah on your hands. If you just went to sleep before and you wake up and you have the spirit, the ruach, an impure spirit on your hands, you don't want that going all over the place. Clothing, the baby, you don't want to put that everywhere. So you want to wash it off. Ideally, that's the most ideal thing to do. If that's difficult, so then you should try and at the very least, like the Yalkut Yosef says, to wipe it on the sheet, wipe it on the on the blanket. But again, that's not the best thing. The best thing would be to wash your hands, netilat yadayim, and to get the ruach tuma off. That would be the best thing to do. I think everybody would agree to that.
Rabbi, for children, what is the earliest age that you can teach them to do netilat, to get rid of the ruach?
We've been doing netilat yadayim with our kids since they're like 1 year old.
Okay, good. And then what about yatsa?
Like, I mean, you don't have to, but I mean, once they start speaking, it's good. It says when you do it for the kids, they grow up b'tahara. They grow up with purity.
Right. So like with my grandson, I'll do it once he gets out of the bathroom. I do it with him every time, but I do the bracha because he doesn't know the whole thing. He'll know the first 2-3 words because he's.
Yeah, if he speaks, then you could start to teach it to him.
Right. So I'm teaching it to him, but he hasn't memorized it yet. So is it okay that we do it for them until they get to memorize
You're
it?
teaching him. You're teaching him how to say it. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. If he speaks, then you can start to teach him how to say it. Sure.
Okay.
I have a question.
Sure.
You said that each time, like throughout the day, that we use the bathroom or like we cut our nails or anything or like change a diaper, we have to wash our hands. But do we have to wash our hands like once on the right, once on the left, or just wash our hands with soap like we would regularly do?
If you can, it's good to do once on the right, once on the left. If you can't, it's also okay.
And also, according to Sfardim, are women obligated to say mincha?
So we're gonna get to that next time. I mean, if you are, if you're a mom with kids, and you're, a housewife and running after kids all day long. So basically, the idea is you want to get in at least one tefillah a day, if you can. If that's not even possible, then then if you're really running around after the kids all day and there's just no way that you can stand and pray, you're exempt. But ideally you should be praying once a day. That's the idea. Now, if you're not a mom with kids and you're, let's say, single and you're everything is fine, so then ideally you should be doing shacharit, you should be doing mincha too. It depends on your situation. We're going to go into that at great length with Hashem next time around.
So 1 second, Rabbi, one more question in regards to, so if my tefillah is shacharit, okay? So there's time until I can say Shema and there's time until I can say Amidah?
That's for men. You don't have to worry about that, honestly. As far
if I want to say
shacharit. As far as Shema is concerned, as far as Amidah is concerned, the you want to get in by Sof Zman Tefillah, which is 10:26. If you didn't, then you have till Chatzot.
That's my answer. Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, no problem.
Is Chatzot later in the summer or it's earlier?
Chatzot is later in the summer. Sometimes it can get up to 1:30, 1:45, 1:40. It could get very late in the summer.
So if it's still like after like the time to say Shachrit, like 9:20, can you still say the whole entire Shachrit after 9:20 until Chatzot? Like everything, like Baruch Shema, everything.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about all this stuff. It's a lengthy discussion. We have to talk a lot about this. Be'ezrat Hashem next time. But again, Amidah, you want to get in before Sof Zman Tefillah. If you didn't, then you want to do it before Chatzot. About everything else, Baruch Shema, B'chol Kriyat Shema, we have a lot to talk about this subject. So I can't go into it just yet. There's a lot to say about it. Okay. All right. Any other questions? So much. Pleasure. Okay, guys. Good night. Only good news.
Thank you, Rabbi. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.